Hello people. The message that I'm going to present in this video is going to be very hard to swallow. I can bet. It certainly will be to a large number of people. First of all, let me start by making a prediction. At some point in the future, whether it's the next year or the next 10 years or whatever, at some point in the future, somewhere in the Western world, somebody will succeed in mounting a terrorist atrocity. It is going to happen. I don't know when, I don't know where, and I don't know what shape it's going to take, because obviously I am not involved in such things. But that it is going to happen, and that people will succeed, is obvious. Despite promises that have been made to us by people engaged in this farce that they call the war against terror. It will still happen. Because in the end, there are a near infinite number of ways in which one can mount a terrorist attack against a people. If we make airports completely watertight, airtight, so that no terrorists could possibly get through, it will one day dawn on Al-Qaeda, and let's thank goodness or whatever for the fact that the Al-Qaeda are so lacking in imagination. But one day it will occur to them that there are so many other targets out there other than airports and airplanes. And it will occur to them that there are so many methods out there that can be devised against those targets. And don't accuse me of putting thoughts in their heads. I'm sure it must have occurred to somebody already. And I shudder to think what some people might be planning at this very moment. But it's going to happen. One day, despite all our precautions, somebody is going to slip the net and succeed. And then what? What are we going to do then? We have tried retaliation. But the problem with retaliation is, what are we retaliating against? You see, the enemy is this faceless, amorphous, invisible, diffuse, what organization? It's impossible to kill. Whether we like it or not, it's impossible to kill. So what can we do if retaliation, the other point about retaliation, by the way, is that it tends to hit people who get in the way rather than the intended targets. So innocent people in Afghanistan or Iraq are being hit. So what else can we do? Well, in the immediate aftermath of an attack, I'm afraid the answer is going to have to be nothing. And I can just imagine how angry some people are going to be now watching this video. What do you mean, do nothing? Nothing. Do not respond to the attack in any way at all. Or, figuratively speaking, it's like somebody knocked you down. What you should do is stand up. That's the important thing. Don't stay knocked out on the floor. Stand up, dust off your jacket, and carry on regardless, despite the fact that your nose is bleeding. And what is the point of that exercise, you might say? Well, let me tell you this. What is the point of terrorism? Think about what the point is of terrorism. Think about what terrorism has actually achieved in a very cold and detached manner. Think about it. Think about the atrocity of the 11th of September. And just remove yourself for one moment from the fact that thousands of human beings died in that attack, and that is absolutely tragic and horrible. But think about what those terrorists who mounted the attack would really like to achieve. They would really like to achieve a complete destruction of our Western society. You're not going to achieve that by killing 3,000 people out of a billion. Now you're getting what I'm saying. And if we are determined to carry on our civilization and enjoying the freedoms and liberties that brings, regardless of what somebody does to us, or to a small percentage of us, then how is that, do you think, going to make the terrorists feel? When they know that their terrorism can ultimately achieve nothing. So, in a sense, you're not exactly doing nothing, even though it might seem that way, but you're showing them a very, very clear message by doing nothing. And that is the message that no matter what you do to us, our civilization will continue. Our liberties will remain in place, our freedoms cannot be assaulted, and you are not going to change the way we live in our free societies. I'm afraid it's not been exactly like that, has it? In the USA, for example, especially in the USA, people have been all too eager to give up their hard-earned liberties and freedoms in return for what they perceive to be safety. But like I said at the start of this video, I'm predicting that one day another attack will succeed, despite you giving up all those freedoms. It's going to succeed. So what's the point? And don't get me wrong, also, I'm not at all advocating that we do nothing at all. I'm saying do not retaliate. Other than that, by all means, gather intelligence, infiltrate suspected terrorist organizations, undermine them internally by infiltration, stop attacks when they're in progress. But none of that is a knee-jerk reaction. All of that needs careful planning, careful consideration, and it's not something that is going to be an obvious thing in people's faces. Of course, we need to take safety precautions. That too, I have no problem with, as long as it does not interfere with our liberties. Because if it does, we need to take some risks, I'm afraid. And that's going to be hard to swallow, especially if we do, and an attack succeeds, and one of your loved ones will be involved in it. But still, we need to do this, because it's our society, it's our liberty, it's our civilization at stake here. And in the long run, what it will mean is that the terrorists will get the message, because there's nothing more important to a terrorist than to be able to achieve the goal of creating terror. And if that fails, they fail. And then, how long do you think they can sustain their hatred against us? And if we don't retaliate, they will not be able to recruit any more people. So the breeding ground of hate-filled, idealistic youths who are willing to give their life for such terroristic ideals is going to shrivel up. And in the long run, even though we will have to put up with a number of attacks succeeding, but in the long run, it will cause a drying up of the terrorist breeding grounds. And then we will have won. But this war of terror that we're engaged in at the moment is a complete waste of time. Thank you.